Holla, Pete, it's your girl Cherie reporting live for SchreeTV.
That's one of the
This
things
prosecutor is a bulldog.
That's one of the things I do.
That's one of your main instruments, if you will, in trying to determine whether or not the situation
It is not my main instrument, Mr. Martinez.
Is it one of the items that you use?
It is one of the things that I use, correct.
And in this particular case, you told us that you spent 40 hours talking to the defendant?
44.
44 hours, so that's the clinical interview aspect of it, correct?
I used that as that is the clinical interview that I did, right?
Yes or no? That is the clinical aspect of your practice, correct?
It is a clinical aspect of my practice.
And in this case, the 44 hours, that's the clinical aspect of this evaluation, right?
I'm not sure what you mean by the clinical aspect.
Well, a clinical interview, you know what a clinical interview is, right?
Of course I know what a clinical interview is.
All right, then we seem to be having problems with it. With regard to a clinical interview, ma'am, isn't that a situation where you sit across from an individual and you talk to them about the issue that is at hand? Isn't that true?
You interview them, you ask questions, you do an assessment.
So,
dude is rude.
Talking, then, right?
Mr. Martinez,
yes or no? My question is, are you talking yes or no?
Mr. Martinez, are you angry at me?
Ma'am, is that relevant to you? Is that important to you?
Please refrain from laughing in the courtroom.
Is that important to you whether or not the prosecutor is angry to you with regard to your evaluation? Does that make any difference to your evaluation whether or not the prosecutor is angry? Yes or no?
It makes a difference to me the way I'm spoken to, and I would like you to speak to me the way I speak to you.
Ma'am, is it true that just because the prosecutor is angry at you, is that going to make you change your answer with regard to whether or not this is a battering situation?
No,
So then, the fact that the prosecutor may or may not, or you may perceive him as being angry, that really has nothing to do with your evaluation, does it?
No, but it certainly is.
Yes or no? Does it have anything to do with your evaluation? And judge, say yes or no answer.
She's trying to answer the question. Some of these questions cannot be answered by yes or no.
Ms. Wiley, can you answer that question, yes or no?
I'm not sure at this point what the question is, because when someone is approaching in that way, it's very hard to listen.
All right. Restate your question.
Just because somebody has a demeanor that you perceive to be angry, is that going to sway your opinion as to what you think in this case?
No, it isn't.
Is it going to change anything about your evaluation based on the way the questions are asked?
No.
So in this case, when we're talking about the interview, the clinical interview, when we're talking about you suing and speaking to the defendant across the table about the issues in this case, right?
Yes.
And that's the interview, speaking with each other, you spent 44 hours, right?
Yes.
The other thing that you indicated to us is that, well, you looked at a lot of other collateral items, right?
Yes.
You looked at journals, is what you indicated, right?
One of the things I looked at.
Sure, and you indicated that you looked at writings of interviews with other people, right?
That I looked at.
Interviews that were done by somebody else.
Yes. Yes.
You looked at text messages, right?
Yes.
Instant messages, right?
Yes.
Emails, right?
Yes.
And that's how your evaluation was in this particular case,
You're
right?
exactly right, babe.
You did not.
Babe, you just brought up a really excellent point, everybody. You know, the jurors, trial watchers like you and I, we like Alice. We don't want people to be mad at Alice. This is not good for him, the prosecutor, the way that he's coming off on her. Oh, wait a minute. Turn it
On
on.
those particular collateral sources. On the interview parts, certainly. Not on the INs and the text.
I'm talking about the collateral sources that actually somebody wrote down a synopsis, right?
Yes.
And one of the things that we know with regard to your particular approach is that since there is no diagnosis in the DSM-4, there really is no, if you will, guide out there to tell you when somebody is really a battered individual or if somebody is an abused individual, right?
That's not correct.
Well, naturally, let's take exhibit number 558. Isn't this what you used to tell us?
That was an example.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
isn't this true? Exhibit 558. 58. Isn't that what you ended your testimony with, talking about this particular continuum of aggression and abuse to tell us that the defendant, in your opinion, was the victim of abuse, right?
That was not the only thing that I used, Mr.
Yes or
Martinez.
no, did you use this to tell us that the defendant was in an abusive relationship? Yes or no?
The question you interrupted her.
Overruled, you may answer.
Yes or no?
It's not a yes or no. Do you want the truth, Mr. Martinez, or do you want yes or
I'm
no?
asking you questions. You seem to be having trouble answering my questions.
I have trouble.
If you have a problem understanding the question, ask me that. If you want to, do you want to spar with me? Will that affect the way you view your testimony?
It's the same.
Reapproach, Your Honor.
Yes.
This is not boding well for the prosecution. He's in fact like arguing with the witness, Alice. What's her last name? I can never really get it right. Laviolette. Alice, A-L-Y-C-E. Laviolette, L-A-V-I-O-T-T-E. That's her name, the witness. And she's a very compassionate witness. Very well-spoken, well-versed. I'll say that again in case you didn't hear me. Well-spoken, well-versed. She seems kind and a very sympathetic witness. You know what I mean? And he's just like attacking and attacking. She asked him, you know, why are you treating me this way, in essence? You know, what'd you say, babe?
Grandmother.
What?
She's grandmother.
Baby saying she's grandmotherly. That's a good way to describe it. Grandmotherly. Camera up. My face is up here. Come on now. See? Alright, so I'm gonna I'm gonna have a manual zoom. Fuck it. You don't wanna know how to act? Bam. But in between, you know, during the sidebar on HLN, they're showing the videos of interviews with her mom and her dad. They don't even seem to like the girl too much. So, you know, when your mom and dad won't even stand up for you, you know. I know all the disagreements I have with my mom, and push come to shove, she'll tell you she has a good child that does not lie. Okay, holla. I might be a lot of things, but if you know me, you know I don't lie. I'll tell you the truth, even if it's going to hurt your feelings. Holla. Anyway, I'm sure a lot of you out there that are listeners of On Your Mind, you're the same way. Holla. He is fucking up. This woman could potentially go free because of the prosecutor's behavior. You know what I mean? The jury may become sympathetic to the witness. And in fact, to the fucking killer. You know, he really needs to switch his game up. Maybe take a Xanax or something. You know what I mean? Calm it down a little bit. Because he's like a barking dog at everybody. You know, and this in effect could fuck everything up. Anyway, it's your girl Sheree reporting live for SchreeTV, keeping it real in the field. We'll be right back with some more when we get back into the courtroom. I love you guys.